Welcome to Toe to Toe, a podcast for realtors where you'll witness a battle of opinions about topics affecting your real estate business. There are many ways for realtors to achieve success. The secret is to find which approach will work for you. Now, always in your corner, here are your hosts, Jen Mertland and Monica Weekly.
Welcome to another episode of Toe to Toe. I'm Jennifer Mertland, and I'm here with my constant opponent, Monica Weekly.
And the crowd goes wild.
Each episode, we choose a different real estate topic to battle about, and we go toe to toe, arguing our differing opinions.
But our number one goal is to help you, the fearless realtor, to find a path that feels authentic to you. Then you can feel confident as you kind of build your business and ultimately build the life that you have dreamed about.
Yes.
All right. So today's throwdown, Jen and I are going to be duking it out over this. Is it critical that you encourage your seller to do a pre-listing inspection? A pre-listing inspection. Is it a yes or a no? Jen, start us off, baby.
I always feel like, Monica, when you ask these questions, I only have one word answers. Like, it's really, really hard for me to draw it out. So I'm just going to give you my one word, and it's yes.
Okay, that's the end of the podcast today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Jen has spoken. Jen, why do you do them? Tell me, because I'll tell you what, not a lot of agents do these. Am I right? This is not common.
I think if we ask that question, it's going to put me on a soapbox and go down a rabbit hole. So I'm going to pivot.
Okay, pivot.
And answer your actual question, which is why do we do real estate pre-listing inspections?
Okay. Tell me, do tell.
So here's the thing. It is fairly likely in our market anyway, that the buyer will do an inspection. Now, when we do the pre-listing inspections, and we've been doing them for years, about 50% of the time, the buyer does waive the inspection contingency, which is pretty nice. I mean, our inspections cost about $400. And if I can spend $400 and then have the buyer have a 50-50 shot of the buyer waiving it, I mean, I'll take that risk personally.
Now, to be clear, they waive the entire inspection because you've fixed a majority of the items, or just because the sheer fact that you've done it?
No. It's a good question. Let me clarify. You need to fix what's wrong with the house.
Right.
Okay. So the inspection report's obviously like 400 billion pages long. So what we do is we include that inspection report along with the receipts and a list of the items that were fixed. And that was the items that they would generally have fixed anyway, because not all of them, but a lot of buyers are looking for safety concerns. Even like sometimes they're looking for little things to be fixed, but definitely safety for sure, or anything that's really, really wrong. So if those are fixed, I mean, half the time they're good to go.
So here's where I'll push back a little bit. And I actually don't do pre-listing inspections. And, it would be interesting to actually have our stats as far as how many deals fell through and how much money people were spending if we actually had the facts, which would be near to impossible to actually gather. But my question to you is, if I don't have my seller do it, and the buyer, as you say, is very likely to have one. Great. Okay, fine. Then we wait for the buyer to say what's important to them. We may have fixed something on the thing that the buyer wouldn't have asked for because he or she's an electrician and can do the work themselves and was never going to ask us to do it. So I believe that maybe you
feels like, well, I'm not going to paint the house because I don't want to paint it the wrong color. And I feel like we can all agree that that's stupid. Paint the damn house.
I love you so much. I can't even stand it. I think it's dollars and cents. It's if you have a willing seller that is motivated, then you can get through an inspection no matter what. Right? I mean,
you're right about that. I think that the pre-inspection gives, like for me, my problem is I want to sell my house or I want to sell my car. So I clean it or like detail it, not just like clean it. I detail it. I get the
Sure.
baseboards and stuff. I get it tuned up and then I put it on the market. I price it right and then I put it on the market. This feels like kind of a tune up because I don't know about you, but there's so many houses that we deal with that there's a lot of little things that all they need to be do is like the toilet needs to be tightened, like little stuff like that. That on a list of things that they completed looks really awesome. And then to the buyer, they're like, wow, they like really are proactive. They really want to sell the house. They really have been taking care of it. They really handled everything. Even wasn't even going to ask for it. And they took care of it because they really care about this house, which means like, it must be a good house.
I don't disagree with you. You know what? You will probably, you just knocked me out in some way because I believe it is the right thing to do. I just didn't do it. I don't know why. Tell me
You're not lazy.
Tell me what the conversation sounds like so the listeners can get a sense of, hey, I'd like to try this. I just don't know the right way to go about talking to a seller about this.
I feel like the listeners have probably gathered that it's not really like more of a question. It's more of a like, this is what we're doing.
Okay. Yes.
So that's,
I have that.
yeah, like that's really how the conversation goes. Like, this is our process. Like you have now hired us even before, like it's a selling feature that we tell the potential sellers so that they hire us. It's like we think that this is the best way that you're going to get the most amount of money for your house. Do you want the most amount of money for your house in the shortest amount of time? Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
This is the process.
You know what you're talking about here that I freaking love? This is what you're talking about. You're talking about leading.
Yes.
And agents don't do it. Oh, what do you want to price the house at? When do you want to list it? When do you want to know? You know, like, granted, it is important to ask questions and gather what's important to your seller. But once you're in charge, once you've been handed the reins, run the show, right? Which is what you're doing. And I love that.
You're the boss. You're the boss.
Yeah. It's something I did as well. I just didn't have this piece in my lead, you know, like we required a stager. Absolutely. And they had to do some level of work, the minimum.
Well, and that is to me, for us, like it's the same. So like, here's what we do. It's a professional stager. It's a professional photographer. It's a professional inspection because the house has to be ready for the buyer to buy and move in. most residential regular buyers, not, you know what I mean? Like most regular
normal buyers, average buyers.
Yeah. They want to just move in. So in order to do that, like it can't smell like cat pee. Toilet seats have to be tightened, like leaks have to be fixed. You can't have all your angel collection in every room.
That's true. And they pay, just to clarify, you have them pay for the pre-inspection, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you ever reimburse them for it or it's just part of the cost?
We have tried different things. So we've had them pay for it. We have done like an admin fee that technically didn't go towards it, but then we included it in it.
Got it.
We've split it with them. It really just kind of depends on what works.
Yes.
I mean, it's about $400. I'm not going to like freak out about that, but also it is their house. So it's their job. Like I'm not going to pack for them. I'm not going to pay the movers. I'm not going to negotiate our commission. Like it's really their house. So they need to be willing to do what it takes to get it sold. Like I don't care if they sell their house or not. I have a place.
Right. That's awesome. No, you're absolutely right. And more importantly, that they're willing to handle whatever is uncovered by the inspector.
Absolutely. And that actually, you bring up a good point, and that is, we do talk about that. Look, we're going to do this inspection, but then you need to take care of the items. And then we need to provide receipts because that's the only way that the buyers are going to be half the time willing to remove it. They're not just going to be like, oh, good. Now I know what's wrong with the house. I want to buy it for the amount that they're asking. No, they're going to take off a lot more than what it costs to fix the items.
Love it. Love it.
All right. Shall we go back?
I think so. I'm going to return to my corner with my head down today.
Get a drink of water. And give me some vodka. All right. We're going to take a short break and hear a word from our sponsor. When we return, we'll have our final punches.
Do you have an entrepreneur mindset? Do you believe in the power of building wealth versus just selling houses? There's a new kind of business model for realtors, and you owe it to yourself to see why top agents and teams are aligning their future with the fastest growing real estate company in the world. eXp Realty, tomorrow's brokerage today. For more information or a private discussion, go to the Toe to Toe Podcast Facebook page and send a private message telling us you'd like to learn more about eXp Realty.
All right, welcome back. Now, before we return to the ring and ring that bell for the final round, let's turn to today's toe-to-toe heavyweight agent.
All right, before those final punches, Monica and I took this question to the streets. Do you require a pre-listing inspection? Monica, what are the results?
The results are in, and we have about 75% of agents that took our survey said, nope, they do not require it. Now, there are 20% that line up right with you with a firm yes. If you're going to list with me, it's going to happen. And then I would say we had 5 to 10, something. It kind of depends. Like, I think people
Sure, that makes sense.
See the opportunity. Yeah. So Laura Hall wrote, Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Thanks for responding. Laura wrote, it's non-negotiable if you list with me. Cuts down surprises in the transaction and stops renegotiations after in escrow in its tracks. I love that. Great point. Great point. Yeah. Thanks, Laura. We like Jen really likes your answer. All right, guys, thanks for everybody who participated in our survey. And if you're interested in participating in the surveys, just make sure you're following Jen on her personal page and myself on my personal page. We usually do these prior to recording the next podcast, and you can join in on the fun. We'd love to hear from you. All right, let's get on with the show.
All right, thanks. You are a heavyweight champ in real estate. Now let's get back to the show and close out our final round. Monica, do you just want me to take this one, or?
Yeah.
Oh, just kidding.
I don't really have a final round. You know what? I didn't do it. I managed to have a nice business without it, but I'm not going to pretend like it's not a good idea. It's a great idea. It is.
I think it depends on the seller. It depends on the situation, of course, like everything else. I think in general, when we're talking about normal situations, being over-prepared is better than being under-prepared. And I did get kicked out of the Girl Scouts, so I'm not really sure how I learned that, but is that a Girl Scout thing?
Yeah, but the important thing is you learned it. So it's like you graduated from Girl Scouts without even having to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think a pre-listing inspection is, especially if our stats show 50% of the time the buyers are releasing they're releasing their inspection, because most of the time they would have chosen that inspector anyway, or they can see that he did a good job, or he or she.
That's awesome. Do you have a special pricing deal with your inspector for it, since you're going to be doing so many of them with him?
Yeah, if the sellers, when the sellers pay for it, he will usually do a special price for them, or include like radon or something like that.
Okay, got it.
For them.
All right, that's going to have to be it for us today, Jen. Good work. You're right on this one. I will concede.
Yes.
I will concede.
Yes.
Jeez. All right. So for our listeners, since there really isn't a knockout question here, there's no voting. Just vote for Jen this time. Vote for Jen this time. I'm on the ground with my tail between my legs. All right, go to our Facebook page.
I want to know what other people, if they do them, how often they're getting the buyers to release the inspection.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Are you above the 50% or below the 50%? Or if you guys have any questions on anything we talk about on the podcast, please go to our Facebook page, Toe to Toe Podcast. It's the whole thing, Toe to Toe Podcast with the number 2, and comment. And we monitor it, and we want to interact with you guys. So, okay, Jen, take us out of here.
All right, rock stars. I hope you enjoyed today's battle, and we hope you heard something here today that helped you get clarity on your path and your standards for pre-inspections. Thanks,
Awesome.
Monica.
See you next time, Jen.
Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Toe to Toe Podcast. Make sure to hit the subscribe button so you get updates when new episodes are available. And we truly love feedback and would appreciate all likes, reviews, and suggestions for future topics.